press the bell icon on the YouTube app and never miss another update.
Hello everyone. Well, I am here with you with the next lesson. Before going to the lesson, let's talk about our country's struggle for independence. Yes, of course, I have told you about this when I started Aruna Asaf Ali lesson. Again, we will go through that pre-independence India. So you have come to know about pre-independence India when I started that lesson. So at that time, Indians were struggling to get freedom. Many of our freedom fighters, they had given their valuable, precious life for country's independence. Even they have shed their last drop of blood to protect our country from the cruel hands of British. In that way, British rule, it was very unjust, cruel, oppressive. It was completely intolerable. And our freedom fighters, they fought, finally they fought for independence. They have given us independence, right? So in those freedom fighters, there were two categories. Some freedom fighters, they struggled under the leadership of Mahatma Gandhi ji, and you all know Mahatma Gandhi ji, he believed in non-violence, that is ahimsa, and non-cooperation movement, hunger strike. Through peace and non-violence, he wanted to get freedom. And some of the freedom fighters, they actually disregarded, they disagreed the way of that way of protest. They believed in violence. They advocated the theory, that is an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. Even we can bifurcate here also. Some people will be like that. They feel like that we will go through peace and non-violence. We will tolerate. If it will be ours, means we will get that. And some people will not be like that. What they do, they shout, they protest, and they tell like that, this is our right, why should we tolerate, like that. So ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಜನ ಹೇಗಿರ್ತಾರೆ, ತುಂಬಾ ಶಾಂತ ಸ್ವಭಾವದವರು ಇರ್ತಾರೆ. ನಮ್ದು ಏನು ಹಕ್ಕಿದೆ ನಮಗೆ ಸಿಕ್ಕೇ ಸಿಗುತ್ತೆ, ಶಾಂತಿ ಸಮಾಧಾನದಿಂದ ನಾವು ಕಾಯೋಣ. ಇನ್ನು ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಜನ ಹೇಗಿರ್ತಾರೆ, ಯಾಕೆ ಕಾಯಬೇಕು, ನಾವು ಯಾಕೆ ಕಾಯಬೇಕು, ನಮ್ಮ ಹಕ್ಕದು ನಾವು ತಗೊಂತೀವಿ, ಏನಾದರೂ ಆಗಲಿ, ಅವ್ರು ಕಣ್ ತೆಗೆದ್ರೆ ಕಣ್ ತೆಗಿತೀವಿ, ಹಲ್ ಮುರಿದ್ರೆ ಹಲ್ ಮುರಿತೀವಿ. In that way, people nowadays also we can find that type of people, right? In freedom fighters also, there were two categories, and Mahatma Gandhi ji, under his leadership, some freedom fighters, they fought through peace and non-violence, and some of the freedom fighters, they advocated the theory of an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth, and they believed in revolution. When you listen to that word, you will think about the greatest personality. Who is that? Yes, of course, Bhagat Singh, the greatest revolutionary leader who was never afraid of death. You all know. And there is a movie, The Legend of Bhagat Singh. So now you are all free. So you have the time, you watch that movie. Okay, which is that? The Legend of Bhagat Singh. Bhagat Singh, he was a great revolutionary leader who was born on 27th of September 1907 in Khatkar, Punjab. So he was interested in making revolutionary activities, and he disregarded Mahatma Gandhi ji's way of protest through that ahimsa, that non-violence, non-cooperation movement. He was not at all interested in all these things. He was interested in making a revolution. He just wanted to make a change in the society. He just wanted to make the society into a better one. He was not only a revolutionary leader, but also a greatest social thinker. He was a socialist who thought about the society, who thought about the development of the society. Okay, so revolution means Bhagat Singh. Bhagat Singh means revolution. We can say Bhagat Singh as a symbol of revolution. Even today we remember him because of his what? Great sacrifice. What did he sacrifice? He sacrificed his life for the sake of country. He was a great patriot. He sacrificed his life. So here in this lesson you will come to know about his will of sacrifice. Sacrifice means tyaga, right? What he sacrificed? He sacrificed his life. When he was very young, even at the age of only 23, he sacrificed his life, but during that short time, he made a great name. Even today, till today, we remember him. So here the lesson, it tells us about Bhagat Singh. Bhagat Singh's will. Observe the word will there. So will means a death note. So usually nowadays you will what you hear about the property. Some people will tell. So it's my grandfather's will. He has written a will. Will means death note. Here also Bhagat Singh has written a will. That will, it is telling us about his sacrifice. So the lesson name is the will of sacrifice. So the whole lesson, it tells us about the great hero of our country, that is Bhagat Singh. Okay. So before going to the lesson, there is a before you read part, you just look at that. I read and I will tell. I explain that. Okay. Read the following lines. Blessed am I that I am born to this land. I had the luck to love her. What care I if queenly treasure is not in her store, but precious enough is for me the living wealth of her love. So here is a poem. It is written by a great Indian poet, that is Ravindranath Tagore. So the poem, this introductory poem, it is written by Ravindranath Tagore, and that stanza tells us about patriotism, about one's love towards the country. Yes, of course, we should be very patriotic. We should love our country. How we love our mother, in the same way we should love our country, because we are here and we should feel very blessed. In the same way here the poet feels, blessed am I. So who is feeling blessed here? Ravindranath Tagore, poet. He is telling about his patriotism. He is telling that I am really blessed. Yes, Ravindranath Tagore, he was a great patriot because he is the one who has written our what? National anthem. So here in the poem he says, I am really blessed because I am born to this land. For example, you will tell, I am blessed to be your child. So I am really blessed because I am born to you. I am born to you. Looking at your mother, you will tell, you are my mother. I am really blessed. Like that, here poet, he is telling, I am blessed because I am born this land and I had the luck to love her. So observe the word her here. Her means here India. Okay, I have the luck. I am really very lucky because I had got the luck to love my country. I am really blessed. What care I if queenly treasure is not in her store, but precious enough is for me the living wealth of her love. So what I care is the queenly treasure. Queenly treasure. Queen means what? Rani, right? Queenly means rich. Queenly treasure means rich treasure. Okay, rich wealth. What I care is, I know she doesn't have a queenly treasure, a rich treasure. But what I care is the living wealth, that is love. That is her love. It is enough for me. It is precious for me. Yes. We love our mother not like that she is having a rich treasure, she is having a money, jewels. No, we love our mother because she is our mother, and because of her love, we love. Love, it is the living wealth. Love, care, affection of our parents, that is the living wealth. And non-living wealth is asset, jewels, money, wealth, all those things. There are two types of wealth, living wealth and non-living wealth. Living wealth means your parents, your dear ones, near ones, well-wishers, love, care, affection, this is all these things comes under living wealth. Non-living wealth means asset, money, jewel, site, building, these are all the non-living wealth. Okay, so here the poet says that I am really blessed because I am born this land, and I have got the luck to love my country, and what I care is she doesn't have any queenly treasure, rich treasure. What is enough for me? The living wealth, that is love, that is her love, it is enough for me. That is precious for me, that is enough for me. Okay, so that stanza told us about the patriotism, the living wealth, that is the love. Okay, and under that some questions are given there. Work in pairs or groups and answer the following questions orally. Why does the poet think that he is blessed? Yes, why does he think? The poet thinks that he is blessed because he is born to this land. Okay, what is very precious for the poet? So the living wealth, that is the love, is very precious for the poet. The poet thinks, the poet says that precious is the living wealth of, that is love. Okay, why does the poet value living wealth more than queenly treasure? Discuss in groups. Yes, of course, the poet, he gives more value to the living wealth. Living wealth means, I have told you, our parents' love, care and affection. It is more valuable than any other rich treasure. Is that so? We feel very happy when our parents love us, when our parents care us. Right. So living wealth, that is the country, our country's love, our mother India's love, it is more valuable than the queenly treasure. Is that clear? Okay. So look at the lesson. I read the lesson. You just keep your finger wherever I read. The will of sacrifice. Bhagat Singh was born on September 27, 1907 in Khattar, Punjab in British India. His grandfather Arjun Singh, father Kishan Singh and uncle Ajit Singh were all active in the freedom struggle. Young Bhagat Singh came in contact with some well-known political leaders like Lala Lajpat Rai and Ras Bihari Bose while studying at the local DAV school in Lahore in 1916. In response to Mahatma Gandhi's call for non-cooperation against British rule in 1921, Bhagat Singh left his school and joined the National School at Lahore. This school was a center of revolutionary activities. Here, he came in contact with revolutionaries such as Bhagavati Charan, Sukhdev and others. He became a member of the Hindustan Republican Association formed by the revolutionaries of Uttar Pradesh. There he was initiated into their firebrand activities. The revolutionaries were branded as terrorists by the British government. They believed that the British rule was unjust and oppressive. Therefore, it was legitimate on their part to use violence as a weapon to overthrow the foreigners. They used bombs and guns against the British and robbed their establishments. Their ideas differed from the Gandhian idea of a freedom movement based on non-violence or ahimsa. Bhagat Singh is remembered today not only as a bold revolutionary figure but also as a great thinker. He was steeped in the best traditions of socialistic thought. That theory advocated collective or state ownership of the means of production, that is, land, labor, and capital. This is borne out in the numerous letters, pamphlets, and articles that he wrote in the course of a short but turbulent life in prison. He wrote that revolution does not mean violence, but the spirit of freedom, the longing for a change for a better. Okay, today let's deal with all these paragraphs. As I have already told you, the lesson tells us about Bhagat Singh, about his will of sacrifice. Will means death note. What are his feelings before the death? What are his feelings? And he has written here 2 letters to his brother and to his friends, and those 2 letters tell us what kind of a person Bhagat Singh he was. Actually, we people, what we do is, we will be afraid of death. We are common people. Is that so? We are common people and we are afraid of death. But Bhagat Singh was a great person, a great revolutionary. Even though when he was awarded death sentence, you all know Bhagat Singh, Rajguru and Sukhdev, they were awarded death sentence by the British government because of their anti-British activities. So Bhagat Singh, he was awarded death sentence because he killed one British official and he made an anti-British activities. For all these aggressive activities, British government, they awarded him death sentence. Even at that time he didn't what? He didn't scare. Actually, when the time it has come, when he was going towards the gallows, he went, he marched, he didn't walk, actually he marched towards the gallows with a bright and bold smile. ಅವನನ್ನ ನೇಣ್ಗಂಬಕ್ಕೆ ಏರಿಸುವಾಗ ಮಾರ್ಚ್, he did a march with a bold smile. ನಗುಮುಖದಿಂದ ನೇಣುಗಂಬನ ಹತ್ತುತ್ತಾರೆ. ಯಾರು? ಭಗತ್ ಸಿಂಗ್. Okay, so this is what about the great revolutionary leader. Okay, so let's deal with the lesson. Look at the first part of the lesson. Bhagat Singh was born on September 27, 1907 in Kattarkalan, Punjab in British India. So Bhagat Singh, when was he born? He was born on 27th September 1907, okay, and he died on March 23rd March 1931, okay, 23rd March 1931. So even during this short lifespan, he made such a great name. Even he lived only for 23 years, but even today we remember him because of his great sacrifice, because of his great what we can say, achievement. Okay, what it is, we will come to know in the lesson. Okay, so when he was born on 27th of September 1907 in Kattarkalan in Punjab in British India. Observe the word there, British India. Why did it term as British India? Because at that time our country India, it was under the British rule, so they have given as British India. His grandfather Arjun Singh, father Kishan Singh and uncle Ajit Singh were all active in the freedom struggle. See, he was very much influenced by his family itself, because his whole family members, his grandfather, father and uncle, they were all active in the freedom struggle. His whole family was patriotism personified. So, Desha Bhakta Kutumba. He was very much influenced by his father, grandfather and uncle, and he also followed the same. For example, if in a home, if a father he is a doctor, then his children will be influenced by his profession. In a family, if a parent, if anyone, mother or father will be a teacher, their children will be influenced by their profession. In the same way, here Bhagat Singh, he was very much influenced by his father, grandfather and his uncles' ideas and their way of protesting against the British. Okay. And Bhagat Singh came in contact with some well-known political leaders like Lala Lajpat Rai and Ras Bihari Bose while studying at the local DAV school in Lahore in 1916. So, there were many revolutionary leaders. So, example, we can say Lala Lajpat Rai, Ras Bihari Bose, Bhagavati Charan, Rajguru, Sukhdev. Right. So, here Bhagat Singh, when he came in contact with the political leaders like Lala Lajpat Rai and Ras Bihari Bose, at that time he was very young. Observe the word there, young Bhagat Singh. That very word says that Bhagat Singh, he was very young when he came in contact with the political leaders like Lala Lajpat Rai and Ras Bihari Bose. At that time he was very young. Observe the word young there. Young is an example for adjective. It is a positive. It is in the positive form. Young, younger, youngest. Positive word, young, younger, youngest. Okay. So here Bhagat Singh, he came in contact with these political leaders when he was studying in school. Where he was studying? He was studying at the local DAV school in Lahore in 1916. Observe that what abbreviation there? DAV. DAV means Dayananda Anglo Vedic School. Okay, DAV school means Dayananda Anglo Vedic School. He pursued his education, his primary education in Dayananda Anglo Vedic School. In the year 1916, when he was studying there in Lahore, he came in contact with Ras Bihari Bose and Lala Lajpat Rai. In response to Mahatma Gandhi's call for non-cooperation against British rule in 1921, Bhagat Singh left his school and joined the National School at Lahore. So at the same time, Mahatma Gandhi ji, he gave a call for what? Non-cooperation movement against the British. Non-cooperation movement means whatever the British they do here, we won't cooperate with them. Let's go through peace and non-violence and let's not cooperate to the British. So this is what about non-cooperation movement. Mahatma Gandhi ji gave a call and Bhagat Singh, he was not at all interested in Mahatma Gandhi ji's idea. Mahatma Gandhi ji's idea, it differed from Bhagat Singh's idea. Mahatma Gandhi ji, he wanted to get freedom through peace and non-violence, but Bhagat Singh, what he was interested? He was interested in making a revolution. And he advocated the theory, that is an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. And he didn't like that. So that he left the school and he joined the National School at Lahore. And that school, it was a center of revolutionary activities. In that school, firebrand activities were taught. In that school, revolutionary activities were taught. Okay, so where he joined? He joined the National School at Lahore, and this school was a center of revolutionary activities. So he was interested in revolution. He was He was a revolutionary leader, and what he wanted, he got there. What he wanted to protest against the British through revolution. Then he got that where? In the National School at Lahore. Here he came in contact with revolutionaries such as Bhagavati Charan, Sukhdev and others. He became a member of the Hindustan Republican Association formed by the revolutionaries of Uttar Pradesh. So there also he came in contact with the revolutionaries such as whom? Bhagavati Charan, Sukhdev and others. So he got the friendship of these revolutionaries. Revolutionaries means Krantikarigalu. Okay. So he also became a member of Hindustan Republican Association. So he became a member of one association named Hindustan Republican Association, and it was started by the revolutionaries of Uttar Pradesh. In Uttar Pradesh, revolutionaries, they have started one association named Hindustan Republican Association. There Bhagat Singh, he joined and he became a member of that association. There he was initiated into their firebrand activities. Observe the word initiated there. Initiated means to become a member. So he became a member, he involved, see in the glossary they have given initiate. Initiate means to make somebody a member of a particular group. Here who became a member here? Bhagat Singh, he was initiated. He became a member of that association, and in that association what they did? They practiced firebrand activities. Firebrand activities means, firebrand means involving a fire. In Kannada we say kichebisuva, okay, involving a fire. So he started to practice firebrand activities. The revolutionaries were branded as terrorists by British government. They believed that the British rule was unjust and oppressive. Therefore, it was legitimate on their part to use violence as a weapon to overthrow the foreigners. See, these revolutionaries, what they started? They started to make work against the British. They started to do the work against the British, and British, what they did? They branded all these revolutionaries as terrorists. These people are terrorists, and these people, wherever they go, they create violence. They will destroy the life. They will kill the people. That way, the picture it has been created in the minds of people. Even in our country, many of our Indians thought like that. Revolutionaries means violence maker. What they do? Wherever they come, they will destroy the life. They will kill the people. Even many of our Indians, they had their picture like that. In their mind, they had an opinion like that regarding the revolutionaries. And British government also, what did they do? They branded revolutionaries as terrorists, Bhayotpadakaru. Terrorist means Bhayotpadakaru. So why? Because these revolutionaries were behaving against the British, they were doing work against the British, they were demolishing the British properties, so that the British government branded them as terrorists. Okay, even we people, we also like that. If anyone speaks against us, we say them as bad people. In the same way, British, what they did? They termed revolutionaries as terrorists. Okay. They believed that the British rule was unjust and oppressive, and the revolutionaries, they believed this British rule, it was unjust. They did not believe actually the fact itself is like that. British rule, it was unjust. Unjust means it is against the justice. Unjust means it is not morally, it is wrong. It is not correct, it's wrong, it's not morally wrong. Okay. So unjust, you can take the meaning as, unjust means against the justice. It's wrong, morally wrong, you can take. Unjust means morally wrong, or you can take as against the justice. Okay. Oppressive, one more word is there, oppressive. So oppressive, oppressors I have already given in the previous lesson. Oppressive means very harsh, intolerable, involving violence. Okay. And legitimate means lawful, or you can take as regular. Okay. See here, revolutionaries, they believed They believed that the British rule was not at all correct. It is morally wrong. It is against the justice and it is oppressive. It is very harsh. It is intolerable. They did not believe actually the fact itself is like that British rule was unjust, oppressive, intolerable, very harsh. And finally, therefore, it was legitimate on their part to use violence as a weapon to overthrow the foreigner. So finally, they decided we should use the violence. Violence means himsa. We should use violence as our weapon to overthrow all these foreigners from our country. So example, in Kannada we say, Jananige Matina Pettu, Daddanige Donne Pettu. In the same way, revolutionaries, they have come to know these foreigners, they do not agree. If we go through peace, non-violence, hunger strike and all those things, non-cooperation movement and all those things, they won't agree. We should use violence as our weapon and we should overthrow all these foreigners from our country. They used bombs and guns against the British and robbed their establishments. Their ideas differed from the Gandhian idea of a freedom movement based on non-violence or ahimsa. So what happened here? Revolutionaries, they were termed as terrorists, of course, by the British government, and afterwards they decided we have to use violence, and they started to use bombs and guns against the British. And wherever the British administration, wherever the British company is there or factory is there, if that building it was under the British rule, means they started to demolish that, they started to destroy that using the guns and the bombs, and they started to rob. Rob means to acquire, dakaititana, rob. Okay, they started to rob the British establishments and their ideas. Whose ideas here? Revolutionaries' ideas. Those ideas differ from Gandhiji's idea. Gandhiji's idea, Gandhian idea of a freedom movement, it was based on non-violence, that is ahimsa. But revolutionaries' idea, it is differed from Gandhian idea, that is non-violence or ahimsa. Mahatma Gandhiji, what he wanted? He wanted to get freedom through peace and non-violence, right? But revolutionaries, what they believed? They advocated the logic, they believed in non-violence, they believed in violence. And they have come to know British, they won't agree. If we go through peace and non-violence, they won't agree, so that we will use our weapon as weapon, that is violence. Is that clear? Look at the next paragraph. Bhagat Singh is remembered today not only as a bold revolutionary figure but also as a great thinker. As I have already told you, he was not at all only a freedom fighter, a revolutionary leader, but he was a great thinker who thought about the society, who worked for the betterment of the society. He wanted to develop our society, develop our country. If he lived longer, then he would have made a great revolution. He would have made a great change in our country. Yes, of course, we can say we would have got the developed India if he lived longer. If he would have lived longer. Okay, so here Bhagat Singh today we not only remember only as a bold. Bold means very courageous. Observe the word bold there. Bold means very confident and courageous. See, dhairya, tumba dhairyavanta, bold. Okay, bold, bolder, boldest. Again, bold is an example for adjective. Okay, so not only we remember him as a bold revolutionary figure, but also he was a great thinker who thought about the society, because he was steeped in the best traditions of socialistic thought. That theory advocated collective or state ownership of the means of production, that is land, labor and capital. So what he did? He was steeped. Observe the word there, steeped. Steeped means deeply. Steeped means he was deeply involved in the socialistic thought. And that socialistic thought, it advocated a theory, what it is? Three means of production, the collective ownership. That theory, what it advocated? The state ownership or collective ownership. Collective means group ownership, and that is the means of production, that is land, labor and capital. So now what we are having? We are having the state ownership. That is what thought by Bhagat Singh at that time only. So what he did? He was steeped, he was deeply involved in the best traditions of socialistic thought. He advocated one theory, that socialistic thought theory, it advocated the collective. Collective means group, mass. That is the state ownership of the means of production, that is land, labor and capital. And there will be a question, what are the three means of production? The means of production are land, labor and capital, right? These are the three means of production. How we will get the crop? There are three means. We should have a land and we should have a labor there, the worker should be there, and the capital. So these are the three means of production. This is borne out in the numerous letters, pamphlets and articles that he wrote in the course of a short but turbulent life in prison. So what did he do? This is borne out. Borne out means carried out. So when he was in the prison, he write all about this, and this is carried out through the numerous letters. And one more word is there, turbulent. Turbulent means very violent. Turbulent means violent. So here he advocated this theory when he was in prison, when he was imprisoned, he advocated this theory, and this theory, it was this is borne out, this is carried out through the numerous letters, pamphlets and articles. Pamphlets means it is a leaflet, it's a piece of paper which contains an information. Pamphlet means it's a piece of paper which contains an information that he wrote in the course of a short but turbulent life in prison. Where did he write this? When he was in a prison, he lived there for a short time. That short time also, it was very turbulent. When he was staying in the prison, when he was facing that violent situation, even at that time he wrote, because he thought about the society. He wanted to make a better change in the society. So that he advocated this theory when he was staying in the jail. In that jail he stayed for a short time, but that short time it was filled with, it was a very violent situation. Okay. He wrote that revolution does not mean violence, but the spirit of freedom, the longing for a change for the better. So what did he do? He wrote that. So revolution means it is not violence. See, I have told you, even many of our Indians, they had a wrong opinion that revolutionaries means they are the violence makers. They create violence. They will they will kill the people. Like that, they had a wrong opinion. So here Bhagat Singh, he is clearing that. He writes that a revolution means it is not violence. It doesn't mean violence. It is the spirit. It is the spirit of freedom. Chala. Swatantra beku anno chala. Okay, what it is? Revolution, it does not mean violence. Kranti andre himse alla. So what it is? It is the spirit of freedom, what it desires, the longing for a change for the better. Longing means desiring. What it desires to make a change in the society. It desires to make a society into a better one. That is what revolution. He clears through his writing, a revolution does not mean violence. It is the spirit of freedom. It desires, it longs to make a change in the society. It just wants to make a better society. It just want to make a change the society into a better one. Is that clear? So let's stop here. I hope you have understood. See, Bhagat Singh, no? So he when he died, his death, it has become an inspiration. It has become an inspiration to many of our Indian mothers. Many of Indian mothers, what they felt is our son, my son, our children should also become like Bhagat Singh. So why? Why? Because he has given his life for the sake of the country. Even our children should fight for country's independence. Even our children should become like Bhagat Singh. It has become aspiration and inspiration for many of our Indian mothers. So his death, it has become an inspiration. Okay, so let's stop here. In the next session we will go towards the 5th paragraph. Okay, thank you.